Welcome back. Continuing the news. Did the state fail to protect a minor when he reported that he was sexually assaulted by an adult 10 years ago? It's the question being asked this evening by one advocacy group. The major lapse has two psychologists assessing the potential impact of victims of child sexual abuse. Jamaica Maitland has this primetime news follow-up.
Why wasn't the matter reported in 2014? So all those questions I still have in my mind, like what happened there and why did I have to come to the media and be stigmatized again for them to actually take it back up in hand.
24-year-old Michael Reed lamenting the circumstances into what triggered him to blast the authorities about a 10-year-old alleged sexual assault. Although Michael was placed in state care after the alleged encounter, no official report was made to the police about it. It wasn't until 2021, a couple years after he became an adult, that he did. Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice, Michael Jackson, described it as a collective failure.
And when one is brave enough to make that complaint and there is seemingly systemic failure in follow-up and providing the type of support that a victim would require, then I think it's something for us to all collectively look at as a society and as response state agents and say, how can I do better?
TVJ News reached out to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, for a comment on the protocols for child sexual assault cases. Executive Director Laurette Adams Thomas said a written response would have been provided. However, we did not receive any up to news time. Psychologists Dr. Beverly Scott and Dr. Patrice Charles couldn't say why the alleged sexual assault wasn't investigated, but they agreed it's a serious slip-up.
So the first thing to do with that child is to say to him, it's not your fault. That does a world for children who are sexually abused and are experience any other kind of abuse. And they are told, this is not your fault. You didn't do anything for this to happen to you. But you know what some people do is blame them. And he said he was teased.
Dr. Charles, who specializes in trauma counseling, says Michael's story brings to total too many reasons why children may not want to report instances of sexual assault. The issue, she says, is that with boys, there is another stigma attached.
Boys tend to be traumatized based on what the community will say, what will people say if they found out that this has happened to me as a boy? Are they going to think that I'm a homosexual now? Dr.
Scott warns of the long-term impact that child sexual abuse can have on society. A 2018 study published by Cambridge University Press tackled the victim-to-victimizer cycle among perpetrators of child sexual abuse. The result revealed that of 747 men, 35% of them were victims.
Later in life, they could exhibit unusual behavior. This young man is coping well all by himself. Unusual behavior such as excessive drinking, pedophilia, they themselves become abusers of young children, sexual attraction to young children, suicide tendencies.
The psychologists agree that with timely intervention and treatment, child sexual abuse can be addressed. In adults, however, it requires specialized therapy to deal with the years of built-up trauma.
But if you hear his tone, his voice, it's not completely processed yet. He's still hurting, he's still suffering from the trauma, he's still denied the justice that he probably needs in order to let go of those negative emotions that's reinforcing this very negative experience that he had as a child.
Notably, up to news time on Monday, October 7, the Hanover police told TVJ News that the alleged perpetrator, Alfred Buchanan, has not turned himself in. He is wanted by the courts to answer to charges of buggery. Jamaica Maitland, TVJ News.
We go to another.